Die
You go
Berührung
to a
mit dem,
certain point in your life and you decide to stop. You look back to the past. You keep complaining about the people who hurt you. And you keep involving yourself with the same type of person. And every time it becomes a crisis, you have the same response. There is a life that is free from this. It requires a great deal of honesty with yourself. It also requires very strong personal motivation. But if you learn how to do this, you are on what we call the ascension path. Everything about who you are can be dramatically enhanced. And you have the power to be of limitless potential. The galaxy has built us to ascend. There are human beings out there who are much more powerful than we are. And there is nothing different about our planet than the planets that they came from. Right now, you may not have ascended abilities, but you will. In order for you to have these abilities, the planet itself must change. There is a certain amount that you can do now, but there will be much more you will be able to do in the future. The exercises I told you about are just one of many ways to practice. Another exercise which is very valuable is to learn how to listen. When someone is talking to you, how much are you really listening, and how much are you preparing your next response? Many people are so involved in what they're going to say that they never stop to really hear the other person. Especially in America, many people say all the time when they're talking. There are words we use such as like, you know, I mean, but, etc. These are called verbal pauses. One of my favorite exercises is called conversation as meditation. You can teach yourself to never use verbal pauses while you're speaking, and to always speak in complete sentences. This means every single time you're having a conversation, you can be practicing an exercise that will make you more psychic. And then any time that you're not having a conversation, you can be practicing meditation too. This is what's called mindfulness, in which you are... Many of us fail to grasp the power of the present. We have fear over the past. It's guilt over the past, fear over the future. When we feel guilty about what happened before, the arrow of time turns back into the past. When we worry about the future, we are pulled away from the present. So we can be right here, right now, and it is only then that we have the full power of the soul. This is what expands your dream landscape to a larger size. The dark night of the soul causes you to have that explosion. This will not happen until you explore your entire dream landscape. This means every time you are faced with an emotional challenge, you face it head on, and you don't keep repeating the same response. Every time you do this, your personal power will increase. So think about your past and ask yourself, when did I stop? What emotional issues still haunt you as ghosts in your mind? Who hurt you? Who caused you to feel inadequate? When did you learn not to believe in yourself? These are the questions you must ask. You can make new choices, and in so doing, you are on the ascension path. All the potential is available in the now. So what we're going to do is tell you about this change that the planet is having, because the planet itself is leading us through this evolution. The issues in your own life are happening to everyone at the same time, and all of the potential is available to you right now. So in order to begin, I will tell you a little about my path. I discovered in 1997, that I had a striking similarity to Edgar Cayce. Someday, the abilities that Edgar Cayce had will be common for everyone. All he needed was someone's name and address and an agreement that they would be at their home at a certain time. He would go into a trance state and diagnose their medical problems. He would prescribe a cure for the treatment. And he also explained that it was always a spiritual issue. The body is a mirror for the mind. Every part of the body has symbolism for an issue within the mind. So there is no such thing as a random health problem. Whatever is wrong with your body, it is giving you a symbolic message. The Cayce readings also explained that until you dealt with the psychological problem, you would never really get better. If you cure one problem, another problem will appear to tell you the same message. No one ever thinks about health until they don't have it. But once you don't have it, it becomes an obsession. When you're not healthy, it forces you to slow down. Many of us get so wrapped up in the ego that we never take the time to think about our lives. Health problems are what force us to think about our lives. This is one of the biggest contributions that Edgar Cayce made. What you see in the next slide here is, if this would actually work, this is the comparison between my astrology chart on the inside, Edgar Cayce on the inside, and my astrology on the outside. You notice the Sun is in almost the same position. Venus is in almost the same position. Mercury is very close. Mars is very nearly the same position. And the Moon is in almost exactly the same position. So what you see here is that all of these planets are in the same sign of the zodiac. We were also both born in the Chinese year of the ox. And it is also interesting that it has been 12 years since the death of Princess Diana. And at the end of this cycle, we get the death of Michael Jackson. The Moon is also in the exact same degree on the two charts. But the really interesting part is the faces. Now, if you haven't seen this before, you should spend some time looking at it. Notice the dimple on the chin. Notice the shape of the side of the nose here. The shape of the mouth. The same eyebrow. There are many similarities. Now, this goes to the next question, which is this an ordinary time in history? Or are we going through something different? Some people try to discredit the idea of 2012 being anything new or different. But we can very easily prove that is not true. Even the mainstream media is starting to tell us that life could be everywhere. There used to be something called the Drake equation, and it was telling us that basically life could never come to the earth because it would be so rare. The mainstream media has completely changed how it talks. And now you see headlines like this. There could be 100 billion Earth-like planets in our galaxy alone. Here's another headline that says the same thing, very, very recent. This seems to be all preparing us for a disclosure. They have decided that we're finally ready. We have two different sources telling us disclosure will happen this year. Now that can change, so we may very easily be wrong. But if it is true, it will be a wonderful blessing for everyone. It's easy to think about the word, but not really grasp how significant of a change that would be. The effect on our society cannot even be measured. We would have to deal with the fact that time travel is real. We would have to deal with the fact that objects can dematerialize. We would learn that we have incredible psychic potential, and we would know the truth that we are not alone. The controllers of this planet would no longer appear to be so amazing, and they don't want to give that up. We do know that the Obama administration is planning this before the end of the year, and we've heard from Dr. Stephen Greer that a landing is being planned. So this is not simply something that they would tell you on TV and then just wait to see what people do. This is something where you would actually meet these people. There are two groups that were identified as the biggest problems for disclosure. The first group is pretty obvious. Anybody guess what that group is? Religious fundamentalists. What's the second group that was identified as equally problematic? Scientists. Science is the new religion. Scientists are equally stuck in their ways as religious fundamentalists, and they react very forcefully when you tell them that what they believe is not the truth. What you're about to see in this presentation will prove that our science is deeply flawed. Scientists have artificially changed their results, and their religion is atheism, not believing in God. They fight for atheism the way religious fundamentalists fight for God. And they will do anything to avoid the idea of the so-called intelligent design. But the evidence is undeniable that this is the truth. Ultimately, I'm going to show you that the entire Earth is going through a dimensional shift, which will upgrade and reprogram our DNA. But that is already happening now. It is not something you have to wait for.